This meeting will be recorded. Deputy Superintendent Marco Chavez is here on behalf of Superintendent McGee. The board provides remote access for members of the public and welcomes community members joining in person and remotely. The board is following the requirements of Assembly Bill AB 2449, which enables remote participation by board members only under specific circumstances. We use simultaneous interpretation in Spanish for those attending virtually through the end of public comment. Translation will continue further into the meeting if people are utilizing the channel. So thank you to our interpreters, Ana Cruz and Kimberly Larios, for joining us remotely. For meeting attendees wishing to access the Spanish translation channel on Zoom, please click on the interpretation button on the menu bar. We ask all speakers to be mindful of the Spanish interpretation and speak slowly and clearly. Item 1B is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There is a motion to approve the agenda made by Trustee Gerard and a second by Trustee Alvaro. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. Item 2 is public comment. Guidelines for public comment are available on the SMCOE website and in board docs, and on the table outside the boardroom, in both English and in Spanish. Speakers who require Spanish interpretation, our interpreters, Ms. Cruz and Ms. Larios, will interpret following each speaker's comments. At this time, members of the public may provide comment for topics not included on the approved agenda. The County Board of Education does not act upon any matter that has not been agendized except under limited circumstances as permitted by law. It is the policy of the County Board to refer matters raised in this forum to the superintendent for investigation and/or action where appropriate. Deputy Superintendent Chavez, do we have any comments submitted prior to the meeting?
No comments prior to the meeting.
Thank you. Speakers are invited to make live comment and have 3 minutes to speak. The board's executive assistant, Jennifer Perna, will keep the time and advise when the speaker has 30 seconds left. Please keep within the time limits. To make a comment over Zoom, members of the public may use the raise hand feature. Instructions for using this feature are provided as an attachment in the board packet. Once your hand is raised, please wait to be acknowledged by Deputy Superintendent Chavez. Deputy Superintendent Chavez, are there any members of the public attending remotely who wish to make a comment at this time?
I'm going to look over to Ms. Perna. Are there any hands raised? None at this time.
Thank you. Members of the public may also provide live comment in person. Deputy Superintendent Chavez, are there any submitted cards?
There are, but they're for item 9A.
Okay, thank you. Public comment addressing a specific agenda item will be heard after the board's discussion on the item. If members of the public wish to speak to a specific agenda item, please use the raise hand feature when the item is announced, or if in person, submit a card in advance of the item. Item 3A is the September 2025 Employee of the Month, Amanda Lee, Administrative Technician, Educational Services Division. Will Amanda please join me in the middle of the room? Yeah, I want them at my birthday party. Okay, yeah. So each month, the board and superintendent recognize an employee for providing outstanding service. For the month of September 2025, we recognize Amanda Lee, Administrative Assistant 2, Outdoor Education, Information and Registration, Educational Services Division. Do it again. So Amanda joined the county office in January of 2020 as an Administrative Assistant 1 in the STEAM Center. She was promoted to Administrative Assistant 2 in the Outdoor Education Program in April of 2021. And her title has recently changed to Administrative Technician as part of the Classification and Compensation Study. So according to her team, Amanda is an exceptional member of the county office whose contributions extend far beyond her formal role with outdoor education. She is a cornerstone of support, innovation, and integrity across the entire department, exemplifying the core values of SMCOE in every aspect of her work. Amanda brings thoughtful strategy, sound judgment, and a deep sense of responsibility to every task. Her ideas are not only practical, but visionary as well, helping her department improve systems and elevate service delivery. Amanda approaches each challenge with professionalism and grace, always considering how her efforts can best support our districts and students. As an example, every Monday, Amanda travels 56 miles to Camp Jones Gulch to ensure all materials and supplies are ready for the week before students arrive. This weekly commitment, made with meticulous attention to detail, demonstrates her dedication and her unwavering commitment to excellence. In addition to managing logistics, Amanda is actively engaged in recruitment efforts and communication with district partners. She is often the outward-facing representative of programs and consistently provides premier customer service to teachers and district administrators. Her responsiveness and clarity in communication have strengthened relationships across the county and positioned the county office as a trusted and reliable partner. Thank you. Amanda is the epitome of what it means to be a leader through service. Her work ethic, strategic mind, and positive spirit make her not only deserving of this recognition, but truly indispensable to her team. We are proud of our county office staff and are pleased to recognize Amanda Lee for her outstanding work. Congratulations to Amanda for being named Employee of the Month for September 2025. Would you like to say a few words?
Good evening, Board President Torres, members of the board, and Superintendent Nancy McGee. Thank you for this opportunity and for making this a great place to work.
I think that was our best celebration yet. That was so much fun. Okay, back to order of business. Item 4A is the introduction of Anjanette Estonia, Coordinator for Inclusive Education, Educational Services Division.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Hugo Torres, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Chavez, and Superintendent McGee. My name is Anjanette Desuyo Estonina. I would like to first begin by expressing my deep joy and gratitude to be a part of this organization, which so clearly is committed to excellence and equity for every student, every educator, and every school. On Monday, August 11th of this year, I had the honor of joining the Curriculum and Instruction Services team as an inclusive education coordinator. In this role, I have the opportunity to support the advancement of universal design for learning and multi-tiered systems of support, both critical frameworks and mindsets, belief systems to promote access, equity, and support for the diverse learning styles, strengths, and needs of our students. From day one, I felt a strong sense of belonging. The warm welcome, collaborative spirit, and genuine support I received from the curriculum and instruction team and across the county office has been deeply affirming. Every person I've encountered have been so gracious and kind and fully engaged in our shared mission. And this speaks volumes of the culture and values of the San Mateo County Office of Education. While today marks day 17 for me, I know that this is right here is where I belong. And it is a place where I will continue with my life's work and commitment to advancing access, equity, and inclusion for every child, every educator, every school. We are situated to serve, especially those who have been historically and persistently othered, marginalized, and underserved. I am of Philippine descent, first-generation college graduate, and the proud daughter of my two late parents who were very hardworking immigrants Artemio Zaragoza de Suyo and Elma Lorico de Suyo. I bring them into this room. My mother, Elma, did not speak a word of English when she arrived in the early 60s. She left her family, her home. Why? To seek a better life. This is what every immigrant family seeks when they come to the United States. I was born in the Bay Area on the unceded territory of the Muwekma and Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, known as San Francisco. I am one of 6 siblings, a wife, a mother of 3, a lifelong educator committed to constantly reflecting, evolving, and changing my own thinking and practice to be of service and be a responsive, equity-centered leader. I bring deep commitment in the Bayanihan spirit. Bayanihan means a collective spirit and unity. That's what I bring. I bring my heart and my whole self into this work. I have been in this work for over 35 years. And through a wide range of roles, I assumed in public education as a para-educator, elementary teacher, instructional coach, director, principal, multilingual learner leader across West Contra Costa, San Francisco, San Mateo, Foster City School District, including the role of director for the California Reading and Literature Project. My why is deeply personal. It is rooted in my own lived experiences as a woman of color, a daughter of immigrants, a student, a mother, and in the stories of the students, families, and educators I have had the honor to serve, especially my own children. My advocacy is fueled by a persistent question. Why, after decades of reform, do we see the same opportunity gaps? Why? For the same groups of students. And more importantly, what are we going to do together? What will we do to transform the narrative of our students? What gives me hope is being here. I know I'm not in this work alone. I'm honored and energized to be part of Team San Mateo County Office of Ed, where I know we will continue to write a transformative narrative grounded in equity, justice, and belonging for every child, every educator we serve. Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity and welcoming me into this inspiring community. Thank you.
Item 4B is the introduction of Ron Campana, Coordinator, College Career and Community Partnerships, Educational Services Division.
Good evening, Board President Torres, members of the board, and Superintendent McGee and Deputy Superintendent Chavez. I'm honored to join you tonight as the new coordinator of College Career and Community Partnerships, focusing on community schools. For 25 years, I've dedicated my career to supporting underserved students and the educators who serve them. I began as a social studies teacher at Aragon High School, later served as Dean of Students at Capuchino High School, and then as principal of Half Moon Bay High School, where I first met Superintendent McGee, and then at Peninsula High School as principal, where I redesigned the continuation school model and increased community college attendance by 38%. I recently earned my doctorate in educational leadership and organizations from the University of San Francisco, focusing on empowering Latinx continuation high school students through YPAR research. As principal, I led initiatives in social and emotional learning, academic intervention and mental health supports, grant management and community partnerships, attendance and restorative practices that improve credits earned and graduation rates. I live in Burlingame with my wife, who's here tonight, Alicia, and our son, Christopher, 15, a sophomore at Crystal Springs Upland School, who couldn't be here because he's doing homework. At San Mateo County Office of Education, I support districts in developing community schools and address the whole child, integrating academics, health, and family engagement through strong community partnerships. In my short time here, I've experienced a collaborative, equity-focused community, and I look forward to working for Marcela Miranda and being part of her incredible team, which made it harder tonight because one of them won Employee of the Month. I look forward to strengthening supports for students, families, and educators, and I feel like already, even though I've been deeply connected to San Mateo County education for years that this is part of a bigger family, and we do such important work to support our students and families. Thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight, and I'm deeply honored to be part of this community.
Item 4C is the introduction of Anita Tong, Principal, Ann Campbell Child Development Center, Educational Services Division.
Good evening, Board President Torres, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Chavez, and Superintendent McGee. My name is Anita Tong, and I am honored to introduce myself this evening as the new principal of the Ann Campbell Center. I bring over 30 years of experience in public education, beginning my career teaching preschool, deaf and hard of hearing students, and later serving as a TK through 5th grade teacher. I've been in school leadership roles as site instructional coordinator, assistant principal, and principal. Most recently, I served as principal at San Miguel Early Education School in San Francisco, where I oversaw both preschool and out-of-school time programs for TK through 5th grade. My work has been guided by a deep passion for early childhood education and inclusive practices that ensure every child, including those with disabilities, has the opportunity to thrive. My husband and I live on acreage in Placerville, where we enjoy the country life on weekends. And during the week, I stay close by here in San Mateo. Family, community, and relationships have always grounded me personally and professionally. I was drawn to SMCOE because of its one SMCOE vision and strong commitment to equity, inclusion, and innovation. At the Ann Campbell Center, I look forward to partnering with staff and families to ensure our students receive the individualized support that they need, while also creating a warm, engaging learning environment where they can thrive. I want to express my gratitude to the Director of School Programs, Dr. Jesus Jimenez, Executive Director Sarah Notch, Associate Superintendent Chris Schaus, and Superintendent McGee for the opportunity to serve our students, families, and staff. It is truly a privilege to join SMCOE, and I am excited for the work ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. For item 5A, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 20th, 2025 regular board meeting as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. There's a motion to approve the minutes of the August 20th, 2025 regular board meeting made by Trustee O'Neill and a second by Trustee Love. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the minutes of the August 20th, 2025 regular board meeting have been approved. Item 6 is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is not debatable and requires a unanimous vote for passage. An item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular order of business for separate discussion and action if any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion to approve the consent agenda made by Trustee Gerard and a second by Trustee Alvaro. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the consent agenda has been approved. For item 7A, Sarah Notch, Executive Director, School Programs, Dr. Jesus Jimenez, Director, School Programs, and Freedom Siam, Principal, Court and Community Schools will provide a report on the opening of the San Mateo County Office of Education Student Programs. Floor is all yours.
Good evening, Board President Torres, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Chavez, and Superintendent McGee. We are very excited to be here with you tonight to share the opening of our student programs, and we're very happy that Principal Tong was able to be introduced tonight because she's been an integral part of that. And I also see that Assistant Principal Jason Arenas is online, so wanted to let you know that in one part or another, the whole team is here. Excited to share our progress with you. We wanted to start with some programs by the numbers information. It's relatively similar to what we started with last year. One or two things to note in particular. One is that for Early Start, that serves our birth to 3 infants and toddlers with low incidence disabilities, blind, visually impaired, deaf, and hard of hearing. And babies are born all throughout the year. So our numbers tend to fluctuate, both with students or young learners being referred to us as well as aging out of the program and into preschool programs. And then on the other side of that, our SDC preschool serves students who are turning 3. And so just like all the babies being born, there's kids turning 3 all the time. And so we do anticipate that our numbers will grow throughout the year. I wanted to ground us in our journey that some of you may remember from our strategic planning process, that we were really looking at a 3-year implementation roadmap to be able to meet all of the goals and actions that we developed in partnership with our school staff and families and community members' input. So we are solidly on that bottom right, I get pit stop. I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like a stop. Way marker, waypoint, I'm not really sure, but you see what I'm saying. It's, we are making progress along the road and we are at implementation of practices. And so this year is really focusing on consistent implementation with fidelity and having little successes that we scale up and replicate in larger and larger forms across our school. And also as a reminder, all of our goals and actions in our strategic plan are grounded in a whole child approach where we look at not just the academic needs of our students, but also the social, emotional, and behavioral needs. And I always like to remind everyone in these presentations that when we say behavioral, we're not talking about maladaptive behaviors. We're talking about the ways that our students show up and making sure that their needs are met in all of the ways that that presents. And the last grounding piece is that we're also utilizing the California MTSS framework. And so you'll see the whole child domain represented on top in those orange boxes. And then you'll also see the essential domains and features to support the whole child. And those blue boxes will show up in subsequent slides so you can see kind of the areas that are addressed by the work that we've been doing. I had the privilege of preparing and launching the Ann Campbell Center while we very excitedly awaited the arrival of Principal Tong. And we spent 3 days together doing a lot of really deep and wonderful work. The interesting thing about the Ann Campbell Center is the programs are so varied. And so there was a need to do group work together as a community, which we did around the National Center on Inclusion Toward Rightful Presence, which is really fantastic work that's being done by the Swift Educational Center around breaking down the guest-host power dynamic in approaches to inclusion and making sure that every student is given the ability to have rightful presence in whatever space is the best for them. So we did about a half a day around that and really looking at how all of our providers in the work that they do, whether it's our orientation and mobility specialists, our preschool teachers, any number of provider types are really thinking about how they can contribute to that work in their roles. We also did, my favorite's always the IEP development refresher and looking at the educational benefit chain. So we know that as we're looking at those whole child domains and we're tracing all of the information that we're getting in our assessments through the present levels, the goals, the supports and services for students. So that was fun for me at least, but I think very appreciated for our providers because most of them are working in districts and there's a lot of different practices across districts. So it was an opportunity to ground and align our work. And then knowing that Principal Tong was coming in and that there are so many nooks and crannies and facets to the work that's being done in the Ann Campbell Center, we held empathy interviews, inquiry sessions, and listening sessions as well to get an idea from the providers themselves what's going well, what did you like that you thought was really great that you don't want to change, what were some things that were bumpy or that were unexplored and untapped potential, so that as Principal Tong is building her structure for the year, from support to meetings to organization of departments, she would have that kind of base understanding coming in. So a lot of reading material for her upon her arrival. And Another fabulous thing about our Ann Campbell Center is that our California State Preschool is a year-round program. So we didn't have to wait until mid-August to see those lovely smiles. We had energy and joy and excitement and learning and laughter in our buildings all throughout the summer. So highlighting a couple of pictures. And one thing in particular, on the bottom in the middle, we have been asked, how do you approach social emotional learning with the youngest learners? And I was really happy touring classrooms to see that was an activity about feelings and representing and recognizing visual facial cues for feelings. And then they did some work with students about how they feel in different situations. So it's starting from itty bitties all the way up to our oldest learners. And I will turn it over now to Principal Freedom Siam to talk about court and community.
Good evening, board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you again, as I was here just 2 weeks ago. Super excited to be here. I don't think I got to share part of my experience and excitement coming to the court and community program is that I once was adjudicated youth and coming back, and I also taught in community schools as well. And so to be part of this is very personal. Um, our first week with teachers, the week of August 13th, we wanted to focus on community and connection. With two new administrators, we wanted to develop the trust and the rapport and the relationships. That is a cornerstone of my pedagogical philosophy is that relationships are the conduit to content. If you don't have the relationships, you can't deliver the content. And try to model that with our staff and building those relationships and the trust as well. We carefully crafted PD and thoughtfully to build muscle around our LCAP goals, and namely ensuring that we ingrain PBIS into the cultural fabric of court and school communities, or court and community schools, excuse me, and as well as paying attention to onboarding staff to the newly adopted curriculum that you all facilitated last spring. Uh, with our students coming, we also wanted to focus on developing the relationships, establishing the new relationships, and also extending the previous relationships as well. And so we focused on building that community, but also collaboratively establishing expectations and behavioral expectations in each of our three spaces to ensure that the students were part of constructing or crafting those expectations so that they could also be part of holding each other and the learning community as a whole accountable to those expectations. Um, we had a culminating activity, a barbecue at the Gateway program on the Friday after the first week, which the students really enjoyed. And I think it really set a precedent and tone for what we have been experiencing the last week, which seems to be very positive. Um, we're super excited. I want to shout out Assistant Principal Arenas, who's in online, but he's been straddling his administrative duties, but also filling in a gap as we had a late retirement the day before school started, and so he's been also teaching math and science. We also have another certificated teacher on leave. These are some of the staffing nuances that we've been navigating, but I think we've been navigating well, all things considered. In addition to navigating those staffing nuances, just want to celebrate Mr. Arenas for his 100% attempt at reaching all parents of the Hillcrest program. And between Arenas and myself, we've reached 40% of our parents and just had a touch point just to establish communication lines and just let parents know that we're here and welcome to for any inquiries or questions or critiques, feedback, and also has been an opportunity for me to staff my school site council, which I'm excited about. super pumped to be in firm partnership with probation. This year, I think with Superintendent Bustos' leadership, has opened the line for a collaboration that I think is unprecedented. Definitely the foundation set by those before me. And I think I just came in at the right time to maximize this opportunity. Also excited about our partnership with Effective School Solutions and their continued support of our students in our program and the dynamic services and comprehensive services that they provide. And then also especially excited about continuing the work that was established before, but also expanding it with Project Change in the College of San Mateo. It's actually it's something that really excites us and keeps us coming back. So in summation, super confident about our first couple of weeks in the 25-26 school year. Definitely there's some points, some pressure points, some pain points that I think we navigated the best as best as we could. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Principal Siam. Good evening to everyone in attendance tonight. It is truly an honor to be here with my esteemed colleagues sharing this presentation with you. I have the honor to present to you the starting of the school year for special services. As you have been informed, Principal Paulino is on leave at the moment. So our entire team in school programs has come together to support that transition piece. I am extremely thankful for former principal Tammy Ziegler, which many of you may know, who accepted the call to help us. So she's actually there 3 days out of the week. On a personal note, are the same 3 days that I am there too as well. So I'm learning a lot from her. So I really appreciate that opportunity and just want to say thank you to her. As you can see from the information, our staff really worked and came together during those 3 days of preparation, especially around safety care. I am personally going to be trained next week for safety care, and I'll be a trainer of trainers as well. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity and contributing to the team as well. So our returning staff was able to recertify, and obviously our new staff have their initial certification. Also, our school nurses went through the annual medical procedures trainings. As you know, many of our students have very specific individual needs in our special services center, so that care for them is individualized. So coming back from the summer break, it's really important for our staff to go through those reminders and that training to make sure that we're all on the same page, speaking the same language. On Friday of that week, we also had Teach Town come and work with our staff. We have 2 brand new teachers to our program, and they were able to provide individualized training to them and also some refresher trainings for our returning staff. So it was a good balance of the new and the ones returning as well. And all of our paraeducators also participated in data behavior refreshers, which is really a great opportunity for them too. In regards to welcoming our students, as you can see from day one, our students were super excited. Our staff was just thrilled to have them all back in their classrooms. It is absolutely amazing to be there in the morning when the buses arrive and you can see their smiles and you see their eagerness to be there and participate and have just an extremely wonderful day. So I do want to extend my gratitude to our entire team at not only special services, but our entire school programs, really because, it's really a team effort and all coming together and really waiting, for Principal Paulino to return so we can then obviously continue with the growth of the program as we know it. So very excited, really wonderful so far. And also, as you can see from the last slide, we have some activities planned already for the beginning of the school year. Ann Campbell Center, October 30th, right before Halloween. We're going to make sure that we have a theme activity for our families to be there on that day. We also have a back to school barbecue on September 25th for special services. We're combining back to school and a barbecue, and I will personally be grilling hamburgers and hot dogs that evening. So definitely really look forward to that. And also for court and community, coffee with the principal. That is going to be ongoing throughout the year. And then also our first back to school on September 11th. So again, super excited, really very happy for Principal Tong to be joining our team now as well. So really just adding all the multiple pieces to continue to grow and develop all of our programs and services for our students, our families, and our staff. So we want to say thank you and turn it over to you in case you have any questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Alvaro?
Thank you, all of you, for not just the presentation, but for kicking this all off and filling in the gaps and doing what you do so wonderfully. I did have just a quick question on your last slide, Dr. Jimenez. Back to school night, you put virtual?
That is going to be for court and community. That is correct. We're inviting parents to join virtually.
Are you inviting board members virtually?
I'm sure we can make that happen.
But I'd love to be able to participate in that if that's possible.
Let me make a note of that and we'll communicate with the superintendent's office.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other comments or questions from the board? Are there any from the public?
None from the public.
Thank you. There is no action to take on this item. Thank you so much. For item 7B, Marco Chavez, Deputy Superintendent, Educational Services Division, will provide a report on Proposition 28, Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report. Deputy Superintendent Chavez.
Yes, good evening, Board President Torres, and members of the board, and members of the public. Yes, I'm bringing, as is now becoming tradition, this yearly report. November 8th of 2022, the voters in California voted on to approve Proposition 28, the Arts and Music in Schools, or AMS, funding that's guaranteed and Accountability Act. And so we're required to report to you every year. And this year, and the report doesn't really include allocations per program. It just requires us to report it as seen in the attachment, the number of students served and the number of sites. And the first year that the funding, this is the third year of funding, the first year that schools received allocation, it came in pretty late in the year. The second year, we were still using block grants for some of our arts program. And in this year, our California State Preschool program was actually implemented programming using these funds. And so the numbers that you see about the 829 students that were served, those are California State Preschool students in the 23 classrooms. It's been a great experience for the little ones, being able to have programming so that our California State Preschool program lead here, Cheryl Chan, has been collaborating with our preschool programs, and they've contracted and are providing music for minors and in harmony music. It's a program, and they're very, the teachers and the students are enjoying the program. Just a little bit, just so you have an idea of the allocations to date that programs are able to access and will access this year. For the California State Preschool program, they have an allocation of $275,608. It's a big program. We do serve a lot of students there. For our special services programs, it's $20,356. There's less students, less classrooms. And then for our court and community programs is a total allocation of $14,257. Again, our program leads are working with different providers to be able to offer arts programs to our students. With that, I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Are there any from the public? Is there a motion to approve the Proposition 28 Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There is a motion to approve the Proposition 28 Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report made by Trustee Love and a second by Trustee Gerard. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0, and the Proposition 28 Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report has been approved. For item 7C, the public hearing concerning sufficiency of textbooks and/or instructional materials is now open. Would anyone like to speak on this issue? Okay, the hearing is now closed and there is no action to take on this item. For item 7D, Sarah Notch, Executive Director, School Programs, will provide an update on resolution number 25-57 of textbooks and/or instructional materials. Executive Director Notch.
Good evening again, Board President Torres, members of the board, and Deputy Superintendent Chavez. Annually, it is required for the governing board to hold a public hearing, as you just did in the previous item, to make a determination by resolution whether or not each pupil has sufficient access to textbooks and instructional materials. I'm here tonight to certify to you that the requirements have been met for textbooks and instructional materials at our special education site and our court and community schools. So I'm bringing a recommendation for you to adopt Resolution 2557, which will certify that we have met the annual requirement for textbook sufficiency.
Are there any comments or questions from the board? Are there any from the public?
No, none from the public.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 25-57?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There is a motion to approve resolution number 25-57 made by trustee Gerard and a second by trustee Bonini. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0 and the resolution number 25-57 has been approved. For item 8A, oh, thank you. For item 8A, Deputy County Attorney Lisa Cho will report on the response to the 2025 grand jury report. Who you're going to call is Career Technical Education Preparing High School Students to Fill the Skilled Trade Gap.
Good evening, President Torres, members of the board, and Deputy Superintendent Chavez. I wanted to discuss with you a grand jury report that was issued at the close of the 24-25 school year. I believe this is the second or third career technical education focused grand jury report that we've had in the past several years. This report focuses on, and you have a copy of it in your packet, what vocational training in our high schools looked like back in the 1980s. And then over time, how that has changed. And then today, as career technical education exists, are we adequately preparing our high schoolers to be able to enter into the skilled trades immediately upon graduation from high school? And so this report was really looking at some of the issues, I think, and barriers to students being able to immediately enter the workforce. The primary one being that because we have fairly strict school district and state requirements for high school graduation, and because our educational system as it exists today really focuses a lot on preparing students for entry into college, really a student's course load in their freshman and sophomore year doesn't have a lot of space to take on a vocational type of course, which would be maybe an elective, because you have so many other required courses that you need to take in those couple of those first couple of years. And so really students are not able to enter into a pathway for a career technical education pathway until they hit usually junior or senior year. We have a number of different types of CTE pathways available at our school districts. The report notes that not every single school district offers every single pathway, so there is some inequity in that. But that if you were to complete an entire pathway, that is a 3-course progression. And for most students graduating out of our high schools today, they just don't have the space in their schedules to do that. There is also some mention about whether or not the career pathways that are being offered to students in high school are matching student interest. So sometimes students will go and enter the first level of a CTE pathway, and then they aren't that interested in it. They may switch and go into something else, or maybe they've met their graduation requirements and choose not to pursue any further pathways. So, and they also talk about the difficulty in being able to hire personnel who are skilled in the trades to be able to teach at this level, and whether or not our school budgets are impacted such that we can't hire more folks that can come in and provide hands-on training and then potentially apprenticeship opportunities out in the community. One of the interesting things that I found with this report that it doesn't really talk a whole lot about the option of going to a community college to pursue skilled trades after high school. And it's really focusing on whether or not high school students after 12th grade are graduating with the types of skills and potentially even certifications to be able to immediately enter the workforce. So, some kind of interesting reflections, I guess, on the way that our school district is operating today as opposed to 30, 40 years ago. We're, I think, in a different time. And then acknowledging that, yes, I think our school districts and our state really does focus a lot on how do we get our kids up and ready to get into a four-year college program. There is discussion in this report also that there is such a focus now in our current educational systems on math proficiency that this can create a barrier. So even if students were interested in doing a 3-course progression in a vocational trade, maybe they haven't met the math requirements in order to graduate, and so they're focusing on getting that done in order to finish high school. So in any event, this was a report that was jointly issued to all of the high school and unified school districts in our county, as well as to the County Office of Education. It requires a response back on specific items as to the school districts versus the COE. So you'll see that there's a draft response that's scheduled to go back to Judge Ayub, who is overseeing the grand jury, with this SMCOE's response. And the specific responses that they wanted from us was, number one, is the COE, I'll just read this to you. By March 31st, 2026, SMCOE should analyze districts' master schedules for CTE pathway completer outcomes and recommended potential improvements. And I think perhaps in reading this report, there was perhaps a fundamental misunderstanding of what the SMCOE's role is over school districts. We do not have the ability to direct a school district as far as what course offerings they should have. But in any event, the response here is this is a practice as far as there being a community of practice with school district CTE coordinators to discuss course offerings. And so there is some guidance that is provided by COE already, but we do not have that oversight authority that the grand jury seems to have assumed that we have. So that's kind of how that response is drafted. And then the second recommendation to the COE is that by October 31st, 2025, which is just next month, that the COE should be sharing new legislation that impacts CTE programs with our business partners. And this is something that's already being done. There is, I think, routinely published updates on legislation that affects CTE. So as far as those two responses go, I don't have any concerns around how we are responding to this report. Wanted to present that to the board for just your review. And just we're going to be sending that back. I believe it's September 8th is our deadline to respond to the grand jury.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Trustee O'Neill?
Yeah, I was actually interested in this because I'm on the CTE advisory. And I know I have mentioned to the superintendent, I've gone to I think about 3 or 4 of those meetings. And I've talked to other members, that aren't affiliated with the County Office of Ed. And I was on this before I was on the board. And I asked them, does anybody know what we're doing here? And there was a lot of businessmen there and employers that actually said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why we're here. And I really do think that this does hit it on the head. And I think, is there any thought to trying to look at the adult education program, the one that's the Adult School Consortium, trying to see some stopgap that they can maybe pick up for, because I know they handle the kids that don't graduate from high school and they need to get a GED. Is there any thought of trying to work with the adult school program to maybe fix some of the shortcomings? And I don't,
Yeah, I actually don't have
you're a
anything to say to
lawyer, so I don't know if you can answer
Yeah.
the question. So it's almost rhetorical. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I don't really expect you to know the answer. And then I also wanted to call attention to the fact that, as we know, Patricia Love and Hugo and I are on the task force for school funding. And I'd like to call attention to page 5, where a lot of the CTE funding requires matching funds, and that school districts specifically mentioned with those with few business, lower property tax revenues, and those with populations of low income, such as Cabrillo and stuff, and particularly in rural and coastal areas, do not have the matching funds to adequately get the other funding that the CTE program from the state might be. So I wanted to call that out to the board, that's something that I think we should probably include in our task force report, that I have to admit, we wasn't aware of it till we got this packet. This,
So I wanted to respond, I think, to both points. I don't know about the adult school, but as far as our CTE coordinators working with the community college districts to provide dual enrollment opportunities in CTE vocational programs, that is something that's in existence and underway. And then as far as providing more support to our outlying school districts on the coast that maybe don't have the resources to be able to provide that type of programming, I know that the the COE has been working on a pilot program in order to provide those types of apprenticeship and, out in the community, real work experiences for students. And so, I've been actually working with our COE team on how do we set that up in those outlier districts that are kind of struggling to provide those um, opportunities. I will be frank with the board that a lot of the concerns that we have over sending students out into the workplace like that, if we were going to work with community partners, is liability risk and insurance coverage, just to make sure that our students are safe in the workplaces that they are sent out to. So a lot of conversations around that. And then what are the types of partnerships that we want to engage in so that students can go out there and get real world experience, preferably as a junior or senior, but they're out there. Yeah.
I do know the labor unions. I remember when I was on the Pacifica School Board, they actually wanted to come out to the middle school where the kids were starting to learn algebra and teach the kids how to build an 8-sided building, because plumbers, electricians, and carpenters all use algebra. But and I kept asking the superintendent, why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? Because there was no charge. And, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, they're bored in algebra. I mean, when am I ever going to use this in my life? This isn't going to
It's so
put food on
practical.
my table,
Right.
but there was always tied up with the other requirements for graduation and the program, the mandatory testing, et cetera, that they had to take in the schools, and then, and I'm especially concerned here about the La Honda Pescadero. And I mean, granted, with 20 kids, it is real hard to have any sort of robust program for all of them. I mean, and this is a school that until recently they had bottled water because they couldn't drink the water out of the aquifer,
Right.
So, I mean, this is a really challenged schools. And I think in the wealthiest zip code and area code in the county, that the County Board of Ed should be able to step in and help at least provide buses or something so that they can go to the Cabrillo School District and have a robust program, because these kids are only in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade once,
Right.
hopefully, but 6th, 7th, and 8th grade once, and to leave them by the side of the road, I just don't, I think is unconscionable in this county.
And I think that's the La Honda Pescadero's
It's
response
unique.
there was, yeah, there hasn't been a lot of community interest so far, but we are going to launch inquiries this year and start looking into setting up a CTE program of our own, which is super encouraging. Yeah, and I'd love to see more opportunities be given to students in our smaller districts that need that support.
Okay. So I'm off my soapbox now.
Trustee Alvaro?
Thank you. Thank you for providing that. I have a question which you might know the answer to because of your day job. Is there any, serving on the grand jury is a huge responsibility. It's a gigantic task. I get it. Is there any sort of onboarding for a new grand jury? The reason I ask specifically, and because you're smiling already, is that pretty much every year we get a recommendation from the grand jury that we go out and tell those school districts what to do. And we go out and we fix what's going on in this school district, and we go out and we fix what's going on with that. And the answer has to always be, yeah, but we're not allowed to do that. There are legal things. So is there any sort of onboarding for grand jury members? They just say, yep, you're in, let's go.
If I may, I believe the grand jury, as they're kicking off their school year, they do invite the county office to provide an overview of our function. And this year, Executive Director Ian Bain joined me, and we provided that, and we made sure that we provided that information. The the responsibility of the County Office of Education and our relationship with school districts. So we were invited to do that. It was 1 hour was not enough, as you can imagine, to share all of our responsibilities and our connections. But we were invited, and it's my understanding that we are invited every year.
Oh, that's good to hear. And I mean, it's almost like we should have T-shirts printed out for you that say, no, we can't do that. Because it's every year. Thank you.
It's kind of a reset, right, with every new grand jury. Yeah. But yeah, I think it was great that that we had that opportunity to go and share what is the role of the COE, what are the programs that are offered here, what are the sports, and then what do we not do as well. Hopefully that'll set the tone for whatever inquiries they want to get into this year.
Yes, go ahead. Oh, no. Other comments or questions? Are there any from the public?
No, none.
Thank you. There is no action to take on this item. For item 8B, we have superintendent's comments. Deputy Superintendent Chavez, do you have any comments to share?
Just very quickly, again, welcoming the new staff that was introduced this evening. Great team. Some of them hit the ground running their first week that they joined, providing and offering professional development to our schools and districts. So very excited to have them on board. Also, thank you and congratulations to kicking off the new school year with our team that was here presenting this evening, our student programs. And then finally, birthday wishes. Special happy birthday to board member O'Neill, who's celebrating or is going to celebrate his birthday on September 7th, and board member Alvaro on September 14th. Feliz cumpleaños.
Thank you. For item 9A, Lisa Cho, Deputy County Attorney, will provide a report on the countywide charter petition procedures and standards for the San Mateo County Board of Education. Floor is yours.
Back. All right. I want to actually apologize to this board and to members of our public about how dry these slides are. There's no way to jazz this up. I'm sorry. So we're going to go through it sort of slowly and carefully. I did provide a more detailed guidance that's in your board packet around the countywide charter petition procedure when we get an application brought to the county board. This is different than the situation where a charter petition is presented to a school district, is denied, and then comes to the board for appeal. This is when the charter petition is actually presented directly to the county board. So let's get through into this, and then happy to take questions kind of as we're moving along if they pop up, because these slides are very, very dense. So again, apologies. Okay, so an intro, California law empowers 3 public governing boards to approve our charter schools. Typically, they come through our local district school boards. Sometimes they come to our county board of education, and then rarely they go to the state board of education. When we get direct petitions to the county board, it happens in 2 circumstances. One is where a petitioner wants to establish a charter school that is meant to serve students that are traditionally served by the County Office of Education. The second situation is one where the petition wants to establish a charter program that will serve as a countywide charter school to provide instructional services that are not generally provided by the COE. They would be provided by our school districts, but we're talking about multi-school district locations for such a school. When we get a countywide charter school petition, it's basically a detailed proposal. We'd like to establish a new school that's going to run in a particular way. And then when a petition gets approved, it becomes the charter for that school. So that is an agreement between our county board and that charter school, that the school may proceed to operate in compliance with the program that's described in that petition. There is very little additional requirements to be imposed by the county board. So as a result, we have pretty high standards as far as what needs to be included in that petition. It has to come generally written in the form of a proposed charter for the school, and it needs to be endorsed by the petition signatories. So what are we looking at as far as the number of signatures? We have our Ed Code section 47605.6 is the section that directly references countywide charter school petitions. We need to have the charter advocates gather the signatures of either 50% of teachers who are meaningfully interested in teaching at the school should it be approved, or 50% of the parents of students who are meaningfully intending to enroll their children into the school in the first year of operation. In addition, if the countywide charter school is proposing to locate itself in multiple school districts, they need to give at least 30 days notice to each of the school districts where the charter school petitioner proposes to operate a facility. An existing public school may not be converted into a charter school under this process. So when we get a charter petition like this, we actually have a checklist that's available on the County Office of Education's website. But our education code sets forth 16 elements that need to be included in such a petition. And it has to address every single element, effectively describing how the school proposes to conduct its business in each relevant area. The county board's determination is going to be whether or not the petition proposes a methodology to operate that school that is consistent with sound educational practices. So when a petitioner doesn't adequately describe all of these elements, then that's potentially subjecting that petition to denial by the county board. The first element is that the educational program of the charter school has to identify whom the charter school is attempting to educate. And then the legislature put into the ed code, what does it mean to be an educated person in the 21st century? How does learning best occur? The petition also needs to describe specific annual actions to achieve the goals of its educational program. They need to describe what sorts of measurable student outcomes they're expecting. The method by which student progress in meeting those outcomes is to be measured. And here's where we get into all the letters. So D is the location of each charter school facility that they're proposing to operate. The charter school's governance, including the process to be followed by the school to ensure that parents and guardians are involved. Qualifications to be met by individuals who are to be employed by the charter school. And then procedures for ensuring the health and safety of students and staff, including doing criminal record checks of any staff members, and then having in place a school safety plan to be reviewed and updated annually. How are we going to achieve a balance of racial and ethnic students, special education students, and English learner students? And how do we ensure that the population of the charter school is going to reflect the general population residing in our county? And then the manner in which annual independent financial audits will be conducted and how audit exceptions and deficiencies shall be resolved. So as you can see already, this is pretty significant as far as the number of elements. So we'll keep going. The petition also needs to require procedures by which students may be suspended, expelled, or otherwise involuntarily removed. For a charter school to suspend or expel a student, the question then becomes, where does that student go? Do they get referred back to the school district of residence? Do they go to some other alternative program? So there needs to be an explanation and a rationale for how they're going to do that. And when we talk about compliance with federal and state constitutional, procedural, and substantive due process requirements, we are talking specifically for students who have IEPs in place, because there are pretty significant rights that they have as far as removal from a school. So they need to explain that process. Provisions for employee coverage under the state teachers retirement system, PERS, or federal Social Security. They need to explain the procedures to be followed by the charter school and the county board if there's any disputes over provisions of the charter. Their admission policies and procedures. Public school attendance alternatives for students residing within the county who choose not to go to that charter school. And then this is an interesting one, like if we have employees of the County Office of Education who wish to leave employment here and go work for the charter school, what are their rights in that regard? Do they have seniority? Do they have bumping, et cetera? And then if they were to leave the charter school and then return back to the COE, then what are those rights? So the charter school needs to explain the process that they propose for that. And then, if the charter school eventually closes, then what are the procedures for making sure that they wind down their business adequately and don't leave any sort of items hanging? So they need to set that forth in the petition. In addition, when we have a countywide charter school petition, they have to provide information to our county board regarding the proposed operation and potential effects, including facilities to be used, including where the school intends to locate. So if that's going to be within the boundaries of any of our school districts, is there going to be a request to use facilities? And then what sorts of services do they need to negotiate with that school district? The manner in which administrative services of the charter school are to be provided. If the charter school were to get into any legal troubles, if there is any civil liability effect on the County Office of Education or the county board even as the chartering authority. Financial statements that includes the proposed first-year operational budget, including their startup costs and cash flow and financial projections for the first 3 years of operation. And then if the charter school is to be operated by or as a nonprofit, the names and relevant qualifications of all persons who are going to be nominated to serve on that governing board. Any questions yet? Are we asleep? Okay. It's dry, I'm sorry. Okay, when we get a countywide charter school petition, there is a pretty strict timeline as far as what we need to do in response. So our Ed Code section says that the county board needs to hold a public hearing for a proposed countywide charter petition within 60 days of receiving that completed petition. What is receipt? That is when the completed petition is submitted to the County Office of Education. And then after 90 days of receipt of that petition, the board needs to come to a determination of whether or not to approve or deny the charter. This 90-day timeline can be extended an additional 30 days if the county board and the proposed petitioner agrees. Yes, trustee.
So does that mean we would have a public hearing and then the vote is not taken at that meeting?
That's correct.
So is that like a closed session?
No, that's an open session public hearing.
Right,
Yeah.
but then the voting for the board to decide yes or no, is that in another open session or is it a closed session? How does that,
So this really contemplates 2 public hearings that occur. The first one that occurs at 60 days. We actually have a deadline of 15 days prior to that first hearing. The County Office of Education staff needs to present findings and initial recommendations to the board for its consideration. Then we hold that first public hearing in order to allow the petitioner to come and respond to those staff findings and recommendations and to rebut them if they would like to. So we give an equal amount of time to the petitioner at that first public hearing to present their petition and to respond to any inquiries or concerns that the board may have. Then we set the matter over again for another public hearing at the 90-day mark, and if needed, at the 120-day mark if we need more time. And there can be some discussion between the county board and the petitioner around MOU documents that need to be negotiated and entered into prior to any sort of approval. But that second public hearing is a public hearing, and then there's some discussion around whether or not the county board wants to approve or deny. Whether or not there's an opportunity for a closed session discussion, I don't believe that that's the case, but I can come back to the board as far as whether or not that's allowable. But my understanding of closed session exceptions does not include the consideration of a charter petition. It needs to be an open discussion.
okay,
So it's a pretty truncated timeline because I do want to note that the Ed Code's definition of 60 days, 90 days, 120 days is calendar days. We're not talking about school days, business days, and it includes periods of holiday. So really, depending on when such a petition is received by the county board, it may impact timelines for a response, especially if it hits right around the holidays. So I just want to kind of put that on everyone's radar, that that's the possibility. In the process of these public hearings, the county board can give specific direction to our County Office of Education staff to investigate and report on any issues that require further analysis or research. So that's really where we're returning for further conversation. And then again, the county board holds a second public hearing before it actually takes a vote on whether to approve or deny. At that second hearing is where we get a formal staff report and then action is taken. I think there's quite a lot of back and forth and discussion that happens during that time. It's a pretty active time of responding to recommendations from staff and then, further commentary. So, that's just kind of the expected timeline for how these hearings are to be conducted. Any further questions around just sort of the process and the timing?
the negotiations, is that the board to the charter school applicants or is it this county office of ed? Is it the superintendent?
Yeah, so one of,
Who's the negotiating team?
so one of the requirements when a charter petition is approved, if it is to be approved, is that there is a negotiation of a template MOU. It has been promulgated by the State Board of Education, and it really sets forth the nitty-gritty of items that maybe are not explained in as explicit detail in the charter petition. We have a template MOU available on the SMCOE website. I can link that and provide that to the county board if you'd like to take a look at that. It's, again, another fairly dense document, about 30 pages, and really talks about things like, for example, what are the liability issues as far as waiver of claims against the county board and the County Office of Education, should there ever be a legal dispute involving the charter school? And then how are you going to be reporting your financial documents to the county office or to the county board? Any audit procedures, reporting to the county board on progress, academic achievements of students. There's a whole host of requirements for the charter school to have to fulfill in order to maintain its obligations to the county board and accountability. So I can share that, again, a very, very thick and dense document, but I think it places a fairly significant burden on the charter school to be constantly in communication with the county board as to how their operations are running.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Trustee Gerard?
Sure.
Okay.
I had just a clarification. So it is the petitioner's responsibility to provide a location for their school?
They have to identify a location, yes.
Okay. And not the county board?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So what do we look at as far as approving a countywide charter petition? Ed Code 47605.6B says that a county board of education may grant, so I'm going to note that that is permissive, not mandatory, may grant a charter for the operation of a charter school under this part only if it is satisfied that granting the charter is consistent with sound educational practice and that this charter school has reasonable justification for why it could not be established by a petition to a school district instead, pursuant to 47605. So on a countywide charter petition, the proponents really have to be able to explain to this county board, why are we doing this as a countywide and not just a school district charter school? It is sort of an unusual, proposal, I think, to have a countywide charter petition. So they have to bring that reasonable justification. I will note that this standard under 47605.6 for the countywide charter schools is different than the appeal process for a charter petition that's been rejected by a school district and comes in front of the county board. So there, that statute 47605 says that the board shall grant a petition if it is satisfied that granting the charter is consistent with sound educational practices. So you'll see the slight change in wording on this one. It's may grant and only if it is satisfied. So I think including those words into this section establishes a higher standard than that applied to school district charter petitions.
For those of us new to the board, would it be could we get some sort of just couple page timeline or history of how the Oxford Academy is chartered by the county versus a school district and why that happened?
I can give you the 2-second skinny
Oh, okay.
version. Sure. So Oxford Day was a charter petition that was presented initially to the Sequoia Union High School District. I believe that was back in 2012 or 2013, so it's been a while. It was rejected by Sequoia Union, and then it came up to the county board on appeal. So that was an appeal of a district charter petition, and then the county board at that time approved that charter.
Would we be able to get the minutes of the meeting as to why the county board decided to act as the charter?
I believe so. Let's go back into our 2013 minutes. Yeah.
Having sat through it, the way the law is written is that if there's a petition to a local district that is denied, it may come to us on appeal, which this did. If we choose to deny it, then it's denied. If we approve it, and there are some, as Council Cho just said, that it's much different stipulation about how you may and what you shall do. Once we approved it, it becomes ours by law, by default. It wasn't our call. We didn't say, oh, we'd like to have that be our charter. It became our charter because it did.
So we could not have sent it back to Sequoia
No.
if no.
Not at the point that it was an appeal. I mean, it was already an appeal to us.
Right.
And unlike some of the appeals that we see around, say, interdistrict transfers or something, where we could say we want to remand this to the local district because there's some new information, that doesn't apply in a charter appeal. So it's basically, we vote yes and it's ours, or we vote no and it goes away, or they have some recourse to appeal to the state under certain circumstances. Not
Okay.
take your job away from you,
Yeah,
but
no, yeah, that was perfect. So the Oxford Day Academy then becomes, because the county board was the chartering authority for that school, then the Oxford Day Academy is accountable to this county board for its operations and not to the school district to which it originally applied. Yeah. Okay, so what is sound educational practice? And the guidance document that I had sent out last week has a little bit more kind of fleshed out advice regarding this, but really the Ed Code likes to give us terms and then doesn't give us definitions sometimes. So here we do not have a statutory definition of a sound educational practice for purposes of this section. And that determination is really in the discretion of the county board to make based on all of the evidence that's presented to you when such a petition is presented. So we would encourage the county board to look to your staff at the COE and then when necessary, legal counsel to provide a comprehensive written analysis of the overall program proposed by that charter school petitioner. And then for you to determine whether that charter school's proposed methodology, curriculum, attendance policy, disciplinary philosophy, or even their accounting system is consistent with what we consider sound educational practices. The county board is free to accept or reject expert analysis and staff's recommendations. Of course, it's within the county board's discretion, but that's sort of the process of hashing out what is considered a sound educational practice. Okay, what are the grounds for denying a countywide charter school petition? The county board is instructed that it shall deny a petition for the establishment of a charter school if it finds that one or more of the following exists. Number one, the charter school presents an unsound educational program for the students that are intended to be enrolled. The petitioners are demonstrably unlikely to successfully implement the program set forth in that petition. The petition doesn't have the required number of signatures. It does not contain an affirmation of each of the conditions described in the code section, subdivision E. The petition does not contain reasonably comprehensive descriptions of all of the 16 required elements that we just discussed. And then whether there's a declaration of whether or not the charter school shall be deemed the exclusive public school employer of the employees for that charter school for purposes of ERA, which is the Educational Employment Relations Act. And then any other basis that the County Board of Education finds justifies the denial of the petition. So I think that's a really broad grant of discretion to the county board as far as making a decision on such a countywide charter petition. And then as far as appeals, on a countywide charter petition, the county board's decision is final. The petitioner does not have recourse to then appeal further to the State Board of Education, which is different from our other district petition process. And so, yeah, it's sort of a one-stop shop here. Yeah.
Yes, so I know when charters are up for renewal, it's approved, deny, or approved under these conditions. In this stage of the process, is it only approve and deny?
When the petition is initially,
Yeah.
yeah, it's either a thumbs up or thumbs down. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's kind of the condensed version of my guidance document. I did not get into slides around governance of the charter school once the petition is approved. I think that's sort of another question for another day, should we get to that point. But any questions from the board? Hopefully that was more informative than it was dry. So again, apologies, I can't.
Yes, questions or comments from the board? The trustee O'Neill?
Okay, no, funding. I mean, we have school districts in the county that are funded at 11,000, school districts that are funding at 28,000. What level is the funding? You know what I mean, for the school, the charter school? Or is that?
Where
more
are they getting their funding?
Well, if we're the sponsoring agency,
Mhm.
I would assume we're funding it, correct? Or
No, Yeah.
who funds it?
they would have to come up with a financial plan for how they plan to set up that school. My understanding is that charter school students who attend such a charter school, that school then receives the ADA funding from the state. So it's calculated the way that our school districts would receive revenue for their students attending public schools within the school district. But no, the county board does not have any sort of fiscal, as far as, and I don't know, maybe I can call upon Deputy
I would just
Superintendent
add that,
Altima on the finances part, yeah.
yeah, districts typically have to pay in lieu property taxes to account for that. So I would have to take a look at how we handle that currently with Oxford Day. But there is a component of property tax allocation from a sponsoring agency to the charter school.
Okay, so in essence, is Oxford being funded by the county board?
No, there's still a local control funding formula calculation for the charter school. And then again, just like any other LEA, that bucket is filled up either through property taxes or through state aid. So there's an in lieu property tax calculation that's done to see how much of those dollars get passed through. And that becomes a timing issue as much as anything.
Thank you.
Trustee Lev?
Just curious on that. So does it matter if it's in a basic aid district or in an LCFF? Would they get this additional funds if it's a basic aid?
No, I'm not aware that they would receive basic aid dollars. I think they would receive their LCFF funding calculation amount.
Regardless of where they are? Okay.
And that's an interesting question also, if it's the countywide charter petition that's proposing to operate schools in multiple school districts. I don't know if that impacts anything, but yeah, I'll leave all the dollars to our expert here.
Other comments or questions from the board? Are there any from the public?
Yes, we have several speakers from the public. Liling Pang, followed by Don Burdette.
Good evening, President Torres. Sorry, this direction. President Torres and Deputy Chavez and the rest of you trustees. I'm the lead petitioner who's representing Ocean Lights School. We are so grateful to you guys for taking the time to really think about this process and to catch up on this somewhat new process for you guys, for the San Mateo County Office of Education. We are grateful for just the care, and we really look forward to working collaboratively with you guys. Those of us who are here to introduce ourselves and to also explain to you a little bit about our rationale for why bring this as a countywide charter to you guys. And the Office of Ed has just done such a great job just providing the context for what I'm about to share. But really, this charter petition that we've been working on, putting together, really has had this countywide charter framework in our minds. We are going to be a TK to 8 school that really is meant to serve the students in Daly City and Pacifica, in San Bruno, South San Francisco, Brisbane, and we aren't just trying to serve students in one district. So, you know, the North County has been underserved in terms of educational options for a long time. And we don't want to just contain what we have. We think we have a really exciting program. We don't want it to be limited to only one district's students being able to benefit from it. So there are really sort of 3 essential reasons why we're bringing a countywide charter to you guys. The first is equal access. If we were to go to a local district, we would have to give that local district preference. And when a charter school program is successful, oftentimes that district fills up all the spots that are available in that school. And the desire to serve the entire county and its regions, even if the student were to live just across the boundary line, they may not be able to have access. So we want to be able to give all the students in San Mateo County equal access to our charter school. Secondly,
it's about alignment with the county goals. We have really looked very carefully at what your goals are, and we feel that we have a program that really helps you guys to for us to be able to align and work together. So the three areas that I just really want to touch on is first, expanding equity and educational innovation. We're not going to be a typical type of school. We've really thought about what it means for our kids to be educated in the 21st century. And also, the county has such a commitment to environmental literacy, and that's basically what our school is going to be at the heart of our school.
We are at time.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Don Burdette, followed by Sandy Mills.
Hi, my name is Don Burdette. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm a proud member of the Ocean Light Charter School Board of Directors. What a team we've got. So many talented people have gathered together to form the founding team from so many fields of expertise that represents the community we hope to serve. I'm a teacher. This is my 34th year teaching social science at Mills High School in Millbrae. This year it's U.S. history and psychology. Over the course of my career, I've taught almost every class offered by the department. I've also worn many hats. I was president of the Teachers Union. I wrote the current district curriculum for the 10th grade world history class. I helped construct and pilot the district's guided studies class, a class that supports students that used to disappear from my classes at the beginning of my career. We keep them, we offer them support, we help them thrive. I am currently part of a district committee working to attract and retain Black teachers and staff. I'm the old man at Mills High School. I've got 3 years left. That group that was here to celebrate the Employee of the Month, one of them was a former student from 2003. It was wonderful to see her. As an old guy on campus, I mentor a lot of teachers, not just the young ones. I know what teachers need in order to stay in school and thrive, but it's not just about what teachers need. It's about what teachers deserve. Ocean Light will create a community from top to bottom that treats teachers like professionals and consults them as experts in their field. Ocean Light's project-based model will support their collaboration and provide them the resources they deserve to do their best teaching. Ocean Light's families will create a community of support. It's what we like to call a family of families that brings volunteers and community experts into the classroom and other areas of the school. I'm thinking about the 8-sided building you talked about. Those professionals will be welcome in our school. Ocean Light will give teachers what they need to survive and deserve to thrive. I've seen what happens when schools do what Ocean Light does. They empower teachers to teach to the whole child. They empower parents and caregivers to be part of the process. They prepare students for a high school like Mills and the world beyond. To be specific, I had the pleasure of talking to some students that were part of a similar school. What immediately struck me was how they spoke to adults with academic and emotional complexity and confidence. Our model is not only effective at creating confident learners, it's particularly effective with diverse populations. Students with special needs, EL students, the neurodivergent, students from all socioeconomic levels. With your support, we hope to create and maintain this space. We have no interest in creating an elite institution. It is written in our petition, a commitment to always reflect and represent the community and be accessible to the community. There's a hunger for this amongst the parents, and there's also a hunger, an enthusiastic hunger amongst the teachers. So thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself, and I look forward to working with you on this petition.
Thank you. Sandy Mills, followed by Christina Lee.
Good evening, Deputy Superintendent Chavez, Board President Torres, rest of the Community Board of Trustees, and Council Joe. My name is Sandy Mills. I was also known as Science Sandy. I'm a retired elementary school science teacher. I taught in several San Mateo County school districts and other Bay Area districts as well. Since I've been in a variety of environments, I've seen many types of programs, and my over 30 years of teaching career I really loved the interdisciplinary thematic teaching approach, where science is taught in connection with other subjects because it is so effective and engaging. And this is why I'm excited to be part of the Ocean Light School experiential project-based learning mission. I can recall an occasion where students had worked in the classroom researching native plants and their uses, and then we took them out in the field. They found their plants in the real world and took pictures of them with our iPads that we received through a county innovation grant, and created a field guide for students and other folks to use. It was lived on the school website. So this was really a real world experience for kids, and they took what they learned in the classroom, created it, and it became something that they were super proud of and very engaged. I understand the next generation science standards and framework, and I believe that the Ocean Light Charter aligns well with the county strategic goals in environmental education, engaging students in deep learning and broad course areas such as STEAM, arts, and environmental literacy for all students. I have personally seen how real work learning and project-based learning also meets the needs of various types of learners, such as EL students, neurodiverse students. When you receive our petition, please take a closer look at how comparable school models to Ocean Light School are showing very promising results in closing the academic gap for these students. Please also consider how the program we've proposed for Ocean Light School aligns with San Mateo County goals of improving equity for unduplicated students who reside in northern San Mateo County. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present our new ideas for your consideration. 21 seconds, I give to you.
Thank you, Christina Lee, and our final speaker, Dr. Kelly Mendoza.
Good evening, Deputy Director Chavez and Board President Torres and esteemed board members. My name is Christina Lee. I am a proud product of Northern San Mateo County Public Schools. I went to Pacific Manor, that no longer exists, and then Pacific Heights, which is I think maybe now a Skyline College parking lot, and then Oceana, which is still there. And then I went to Skyline College, and then eventually was able to go to UC Davis for college and law school. So here I am now, having benefited from public school education. And when I had and agreed to have children for my husband, my own children, I really thought it was important for them to have a high quality education, but within the limitations of what we were able to provide as entry-level professionals. And so, private schools are not an option for us, but we were able to go to public schools and have a home in districts that we thought would be good. We actually lived in another district. We now live in the Pacifica School District, and we purposely moved back so that my children could go to a K-8 school. And now, as we are in this time, putting forward a petition for Ocean Light School to serve Northern San Mateo County, I am proud to be a board member of the Ocean Light School, and I do also look forward to working with all of you collaboratively to bring forward this educational option to the students and families of Northern San Mateo County, such as my own family and others. Thank you to the County Health's Office for putting together the very succinct, considering all the depths of it, guidance for the board. And, I think that what I wanted to kind of just highlight in the brief time that I have left is that, Ocean Light is intended to bring to the students and families of Northern San Mateo County, as Li-Ling mentioned, a TK-8 public charter school that provides an educational model rooted in experiential project-based learning that builds into the curriculum environmental, marine, AI learning. And another important aspect of Ocean Light is it will fill the educational gap in northern San Mateo County in terms of options and equity. With the closure of Ocean Shore School and the move of grades 6 to 8 at Valamar School to Ingrid B. Lacey Middle School in Pacifica, northern San Mateo County now only has 3 K through 8 schools available. Also, as some of you may know, there is only 1 charter school in all of northern San Mateo County above 92. That is Summit Shasta. It is a high school, not an elementary or middle school offering. And that high school is such a popular choice that I understand that their freshman class is 2 times the size. Their waiting list is 2 times the size of their freshman class. So we hope to fill that gap of educational options, and thank you in advance for your kind consideration of our petition, which will be submitted shortly. Thank you.
And Dr. Kelly Mendoza.
Good evening, Board President and board members. My name is Dr. Kelly Mendoza. I'm a citizen living in San Mateo County. I'm also a parent of a high schooler, and I work at Design Tech High School, preparing students with college and career skills of the future. And I'm also on the founding team of Ocean Light School here today. And I come to you today as a fellow educator and community member who shares your commitment to ensuring every child in our county receives an excellent education. Collaboration isn't something that we just talk about at Ocean Light School. It's really built into our DNA. And we believe the strongest educational outcomes happen when teachers and families and community leaders work hand in hand towards common goals. And so we want to work collaboratively with you as our authorizer and the leader of education in the county. The Ocean Light School team recognizes that this is uncharted territory. So thank you for the overview and the report for the county office. And we're incredibly grateful that you all are putting so much thought into this process. Your commitment to this process demonstrates the kind of educational leadership that this community deserves. And we want to honor that deliberative approach and work alongside you every step of the way. I believe our vision truly aligns with the county's strategic goals and mission to provide equitable education for all students. We're not here to compete with existing schools, but to expand the excellent school options available to families, particularly those who may have been underserved by traditional approaches. So we see this as the beginning of a true partnership, and we hope to schedule time for a public meeting during the process that was outlined after we submit our petition, where we can address your questions directly and demonstrate our shared commitment to educational excellence and accountability. So I just want to thank you all for your service to our students and our community. And we look forward to working together to advance educational opportunities in our county. Thank you.
No other additional speakers, and none online either.
Thank you. Deputy County Attorney Cho, I do have a question over something that was stated, and I just want clarification. So whether a charter is in a school district or in a county, they're not bound to the same restrictions in terms of who they can accept, right?
As far as restrictions in the ed code or applicable law?
Or either one.
So a charter school petition is essentially a proposal to operate a school in a way that's a little different than what's set out in the ed code. And it's the charter petition documents. It's the charter of the school and then any accompanying MOU that the charter petitioner enters into with the county board that becomes the governing documents for how admissions policies, for example, are going to be carried out. So yeah, they're a little different than the traditional type of public school that we think about. I think the requirements that the ed code sets out as far as the elements to be included in that petition, though, is still, we've got to be mindful and careful about specifically vulnerable student populations and how they'll be served. So there's certainly protections built around that. So yeah, I think we'd want to see that when the petition comes through. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Lev?
Just somewhat related to that question about like who can be included. Can a school be for part of a county, or, you know, is it open to anybody? And if it's a countywide charter, is it open to anyone? And again, students in special education, students learning English, everybody, right?
And I think that's where, when the petition is presented to the board, that is something to perhaps have in discussion with the petitioners around why only North County, if that's the question. Would this be a school that eventually might be open to every single district in the county? That's, you know, something to consider, yeah.
Yes.
I was just curious about the legally.
Well, legally, I mean, I don't think that there's a minimum number of school districts in which a charter school needs to, you know, operate a facility. It's just a question of, does the board feel that a countywide charter is best serving the students of this county if it is limited in any way or restricted to one portion of the county? Again, I think that's, I'm going to leave that question open as far as the whole public hearing process goes. And if that's a concern, I think definitely we can delve into that. But certainly nothing in the Ed Code says that there needs to be a minimum number of school districts that are included within that charter school's proposal. Nor is there a maximum. And if we are going to indeed offer it as a county-wide, then why not across the entire county? I think that's a great question to ask when that petition comes forward. Yeah.
Trustee O'Neill?
A question in terms of, could they take students from San Francisco? Because northern San Mateo County could conceivably draw from San Francisco.
Yeah, no, when it is a county-wide charter petition authorized by this county board, we are talking about students within this county board's jurisdictional territory. So we are not considering students from other jurisdictions. I guess a question mark for me would be, is there going to be an allowance of interdistrict transfers? And then what happens with those? Does that come in front of the county board? I mean, that's kind of a question that we have to deal with our public schools. Yeah, no, that's great. So that's kind of where the work of this county board intersects with that. But I think that the goal and the purpose of a countywide charter petition is really, we are focusing on the students of this county. And then any considerations of students outside this county, yeah, let's talk about that. Are we going to allow interdistricts?
Thank you. Trustee Benini?
Thanks. I just had one question about kind of parallel to this process, in parallel to what would be a typical district charter process, where one of the elements would be that we would, a district would consider the fiscal impacts. And I don't really see that in any of this.
Yeah, so as far as any proposal to operate multiple facilities across school districts, it is my understanding that the Ocean Light School has sent out notices of intent to a number of our school districts in the county already. So there has been receipt by, I believe, about 6 different school districts of the notice to include in the petition. We are interested in occupying potentially a facility that is currently under the jurisdiction of this school district. When that sort of situation happens and where it's a request to occupy a school district facility, there needs to be a negotiation of an agreement between the charter school and that school district. We as the county board here do not have the authority to order anything to the school districts. There needs to be some negotiation there. So I think that's a little bit of a legal hurdle and extra steps to take with each school district in which they propose to operate.
Okay, certainly facilities would be potentially a fiscal impact, but what about the consideration of the loss of ADA?
I think that is something that is also within the county board's purview to determine, is this going to potentially fiscally impact our school districts in the county? Yeah.
Thank you. There is no action to take on this item. For item 9B, the board will discuss and/or act on 3 categories of nominations for CSBA directors at large: African American, American Indian, and county. Information on the nominations is included in your board packets. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Are there any from the public?
None from the public.
Thank you. Are there nominations in any category? Going once, going twice. Since there are no nominations, there's no action to take on this item. For item 9C, when an ad hoc subcommittee meets or a representative attends a meeting related to their given assignment, board members may choose to bring a report to the board at this time. Would any board members like to report out? Trustee Lev?
Thank you. The Advocacy Subcommittee's Task Force on Adequate School Funding met on the 25th. Had a nice representation from different school districts, as well as representatives of Capital Advisors, who provided some great input and thoughts on where we were at this point and whether there was opportunities to potentially move forward with something like this. And I noticed there is a report in the folders from that task force that really just documents information collected and kind of a status of where we are for the board to kind of look at that. And I guess that will be in a couple meetings that will come up, and just ask if Trustee O'Neill or Torres have anything to add.
No, thank you. Trustee Gerard?
Yes, I just wanted to report briefly that the Housing Committee is looking at properties, and we're active and will be bringing a more detailed report to the board later. Thank you.
Thank you. Other report outs? Are there any comments or questions from the board? Any from the public?
None from the public.
Thank you. There is no action to take on this item. For item 9D, the board will discuss topics for future board agendas. Would any board members like to discuss agenda ideas? Trustee O'Neill?
Hi, I am not on the housing subcommittee, but I mentioned this to Beverly and she asked me to bring it up. And as you all know, I'm on the Jefferson High School District Housing Board. And since we seem to be actively looking at pieces of property prior, in their case, they were actually building a building, okay? So they had time, but there were certain steps that they had to do before they were doing it, such as they formed a nonprofit, okay? And they also had appoint a board of directors for a nonprofit, et cetera. And I was wondering if it might not be prudent for us to begin that process, because it took several months to get the nonprofit, establish a board, do policies, et cetera. And I don't know if Lisa wants to do another slideshow PowerPoint on how to do that, or if there's one in the, because county council, that is what they recommended to the Jefferson board when we started the housing up there.
So this arrangement that we have with the HART, it's the Housing Endowment and Regional Trust of San Mateo County. We actually have an MOU already in place with them for the identification and acquisition of, a building that would provide workforce housing. So that's an arrangement that's already made through them. So this is slightly different than the development of a brand new and the building of a brand new workforce housing
Okay.
building. Yeah.
Right, but the Jefferson board also developed the policies and procedures in terms of, and policies of how long will people be allowed to live there? 5 years, 7 years, what is the criteria? And in our case, we've talked about, it's County Office of Ed, but let's say we have 100 units, just, using a number, and we have 50 from the County Office of Ed, we have 50 additional units. What is our criteria for allowing other school districts' employees to live there?
Can I follow up with you perhaps offline with that? And I want to go check back in with County Attorney John Nevelin, who did work with the Jefferson Union High School District on that entire project. So I'm happy to go back to my office and check, and then perhaps provide a brief memo and
Sure.
send that to the board. Would that be fine?
Lauren is the county council that works.
Yeah,
with-
Lauren Carroll, she's. my-
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I know, I'm sure you know.
Yeah, so I will go back and touch base
Yeah.
with them on exactly what the documents were for
Right.
that process. Yeah, happy to
Okay.
do that.
Thank you. Any other agenda ideas? Trustee Bonini?
I just wanted to add on potentially to the discuss and act on the formation of an ad hoc subcommittee for the community college district in terms of an agenda item, maybe paired with that, where we would get input from the board as to what the committee might address and topics. Thank you.
Thank you. Other agenda ideas? Thank you. There is no action to take on this item. For item 9E, board members will comment. Deputy Superintendent Chavez, can you lead that while I run to the restroom?
Yes. We'll start with Board Member Love.
I don't have much except just loved meeting the staff and love celebrating Player of the Month and all the great reports. So thank you.
Board Member O'Neill.
On Saturday, I attended the Memorial Walk in Pacifica for all those families that lost people to overdose and fentanyl. I would say actually Hector was there from the county office, but there was over 200 people walking, and they had a list of all, and prior to the walk, they listed the name of, and it took about 10 minutes, of all the people that had lost their lives due to fentanyl and overdose, et cetera. And actually I was on, you know how you get feeds on your news thing, they actually made Channel 5 News for the Memorial Walk. And it was good. The county actually donated $10,000 to them for Narcan dispensers for different locations under the Measure K program. And it was touching to see all these families there, and they had a whole they had all the different agencies that that would deal with overdose, counseling, suicide prevention, et cetera, were all there courtesy of the Moose Lodge in Pacifica. So it was a very good event.
Trustee Alvaro?
I also enjoyed the opportunity to just hang out and visit for a little bit with everybody before getting down to work. I don't have much. I just wanted to mention that over the next couple of weeks, and I will report back, I've set up meetings with he's almost new, the newly permanent superintendent of Cabrillo, Dr. Miramontes, and also with the new superintendent of La Honda Pescadero, which is Michelle Ross. And I will be just having an informal sit down, saying hello, letting them know I'm there. And I will let you know how that goes.
Thank you. Trustee Arias?
Well, I also want to say I had a really good time before our meeting, sharing a meal with everybody here. I also want to wish happy birthday to Trustee O'Neill and Trustee Alvaro this month. And I want to say that August 23rd, I went to Cultura Fest in South San Francisco, my home city, and very happy to see that there was a whole setup for safety routes to school. And to hear, I stopped and asked, about it. And I think it's important to have this type of outreach and information in the community. So I was very happy to see them in there and just stop there and get all the information, very efficient and very clear and helpful how they describe how other districts are working together with the county. And I also attended my first policy committee yesterday, so that was pretty exciting. So thank you for having me. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bonini?
First, I want to thank the board for approving Resolution 2554, which is National Dyslexia Awareness Month. A couple of years ago, I think it's been a couple, we had a sort of a proclamation, but we presented that and we started that. So that was good to see that we still are on that track, and that's such an important issue. And also 2555, which is National Disability Employment Awareness Month for the coming month. And that was one that we added last year as well. So thank you for approving those. I want to share that I've been active in, for my area with San Mateo Foster City School District. I was invited to speak with a number of the actual leaders from the district at one of their PBL launches for one of their schools, which is Lead Elementary. And that was so fun to chat with the students. And essentially the question was about our role as trustees and how we work together to make decisions. And they will be doing that a lot in their PBL work. So that was very important for them to kind of hear that. And also they had a lot of questions. Today, I also was able to go to Meadow Heights for their ribbon cutting for their new multipurpose room. Oh, and by the way, Leeds event was also in their new multipurpose room. So they've been doing a ton of work around their facilities, and it's just so important for the community and beautiful building. So I'm really happy for them. And then one last thing about San Mateo Foster City, they're just launching tonight their community strategic plan, which is sort of building on a family leadership academy that they've developed. They're really focused on shared decision-making with the community. They're doing that tonight, so I wasn't able to go, but I'm hoping they have some meetings that might not fall on our meeting nights. So that's one update. And then lastly, I did give everybody a ribbon and some materials at your seats. October is also, or sorry, not October, September is Suicide Prevention Month. National Suicide Prevention Week is the second week, so the 7th through the 13th. And then World Suicide Prevention Day is the 10th of September. So there's there are a lot of events that the county spearheads, and also there's a committee that I've been a part of for a number of years. And so there's a calendar of events at the smchealth.org/SPM for Suicide Prevention Month, if you're interested in finding some of those opportunities. And I hope you'll wear your ribbon during the month. And lastly, I do have some other materials, which I think I might leave with Deputy Superintendent Chavez for sharing, or if anybody wants to have those as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gerard?
Thank you very much. I just also would like to extend birthday greetings to Trustee Alvaro and Trustee O'Neill. I think birthdays are very special, and they're your day. And I always like to acknowledge those. I also wanted to just mention that I think a group of us will be attending the county boards conference in Monterey this weekend. And I'm hoping that we'll bring back lots of great information when we come back at our next meeting. And I also just became this week the proud member of the PTA for Franklin Delano Roosevelt School, which is the school that is very close to me, and where all three of my children, along with my stepson, all went. And I was very pleased that they actually sent me an email and wanted to know if I would like to join their PTA. I've been a member at large, but it was really fun to be back as an ex-president of that PTA in their throes. So I'm looking forward to they attending some of their meetings. They do them by Zoom on Tuesday nights, so I should be able to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. For me, I had a really great time at our dinner, so it was great to just be with folks in a different setting at the same table. I know we missed some folks, so hopefully we get to do that again sometime. I was also at the Cultura Fest in South City, which was so beautiful seeing all these beautiful communities and cultures coming together, especially in a time politically where it's very challenging. It was great to see people feel safe and just be in community with each other and just celebrate the beauty that is the culture. And that is all I have. Item 10 is the adjournment. So the next regular meeting will be the retreat on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And this meeting is now adjourned.